Hey everybody, this is Darren Van Dam, and you are watching Flick Connection, the show that helps you get more out of movies, and today I'm going to tell you about all the best stuff Netflix is adding in March 2021. So in this video, I'll be talking about over 30 movies, 6 series, and more, and that includes my top 10 picks for everything leaving during the month of March. Now, if you're new to the channel and this is your first time watching one of these videos, what we're going to do is go through the month in chronological order, starting with the 1st of March, and then we will go through the month in chronological order, talking about all the new releases that they're adding throughout the month of March. But on the 1st, they start off with some real bangers, including Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. Now, it appears they're just adding those two and not The Dark Knight Rises, which I'm fine with. I like that movie enough, but Batman Begins and especially The Dark Knight are two of my absolute favorites. Now, I've seen them plenty of times. I own them both on Blu-ray, so I'm not going to be clamoring to watch them on Netflix, but if it's been a while since you've seen either, now is going to be a good time to watch them because I don't expect that they will be on Netflix for very long. I Am Legend also gets added. A really great movie. However, I've always felt this movie should have had a hard R rating and should have been done with real people in makeup instead of CGI monsters. I think it would have been much more scary and much more effective. Still, a lot of great scenes in this movie, even if they are a little bit neutered by the PG-13 rating.
You gotta decide whether you're a wolf or a sheep.
I will do anything you want me to do.
Good. Good.
A movie that does not suffer from a PG-13 rating is Training Day. One of the best cop movies to have come out in the 21st century. Came out early in the 21st century and it still holds up today. I think this still holds up as Antoine Fuqua's best movie, and it's got just one of the better ensemble casts. There's some great characters in this one. If somehow you've never seen it, definitely make it one of the ones you watch. It's one of my top picks of the month. But for most of you, if it's just been a while since you've seen it, like 10 years or so, it's well worth revisiting on Netflix. I promise you, you have forgotten how solid this flick is. If you're in the mood for something funny, they're adding an action comedy called Killing Gunther, which I have talked about on the channel before because it has been on Netflix in recent months. It's not now. I didn't realize that they removed it, but it's coming back again already. If you've never watched it, this is a fun little mockumentary about some assassins trying to take out the greatest assassin in the world, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger. But don't let the trailers fool you on this one. Schwarzenegger is not in this movie much. If you love movies like John Wick and other sort of assassin type things, this is just sort of a really great comedy that's got a lot of jokes related to some of those great movies. Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny is a pretty fun sort of rock and roll comedy. Fans of Tenacious D should have certainly seen this movie by now, but even if you're not a fan of Tenacious D or don't even know what it is, this is still just a funny comedy movie about a couple of goofballs that have a rock band. There's some really great cameos in this movie as well, but if you're remotely a fan of Jack Black, this is a really fun watch, but this is a rated R comedy. Do not watch this one with the kids. If your kids love Jack Black, they're probably not gonna love him in this one. Speaking of Jack Black, Year One is a pretty funny movie starring him and Michael Cera. They're essentially playing cavemen, then they sort of go through history, kind of similar to some old Monty Python movies, but not nearly as funny in my opinion. It is well worth a few laughs, which is why I've included it in this video, but if you don't want to spend 90 minutes on a somewhat mediocre comedy, here's one of the funnier jokes from it.
The women are whores. Their shameless lust knows no bounds. They flaunt their flesh, and any man may have knowledge of them whenever he so chooseth.
Which one of the two cities has the most whores?
Now, a great pick for people who don't really like romantic comedies, but maybe feel like they need to compromise for a date night. Crazy Stupid Love is a really great movie that has a fantastic cast with Steve Carell, Julianne Moore, Emma Stone, and Ryan Gosling. And while it is a romantic comedy, there's plenty of humor in it. It does deal with some more serious issues. It involves a couple that's going through a separation, and you've got really great performances from a lot of these people, but also a pretty good story, and it's not silly and cheesy the way that a lot of romantic comedies can be. There's a lot more going on with this one, making it a good quality watch. Not quite the type of thing I normally recommend on this channel, but it does stand out within its genre and is just a really great watch in the right setting. If after I Am Legend you're in the mood for sort of a Will Smith binge watch, they're also adding one of his best movies, The Pursuit of Happiness. While this can be pretty heavy and is not really just a great one to just sort of throw on and watch passively, it is a really fantastic movie based on a true story about a father trying to provide for his son. It's got some really upsetting moments, but also some really fantastic uplifting moments. And then for some classics, they're also adding Dances with Wolves and Rain Man on the first. Both great watches, but I can't imagine there's too many people watching this video that have not seen either of those. If somehow you've missed them, they're both fantastic movies and have held up over time, but they both also used to appear on television all the time. I can't believe I just said television. So if you've seen them enough in your life, we'll go ahead and move on with one of the things that Netflix is most proud of in the month of March. It's a music documentary about Biggie Smalls. Now, the interesting thing about this is not really about the documentary itself, it's the fact that Netflix is releasing this on the first. It's actually pretty rare for them to release Netflix originals right on the first, but from what I can tell, this is getting some good reviews and seems like something Netflix is pretty proud of. So even if you're not a fan of Biggie Smalls, you're just a fan of music or interested in some behind the scenes stuff in the music industry, this looks like it could be a really interesting watch. And the good thing is it's not a 10-hour series, it's an hour-and-a-half documentary, so it should be pretty concise, and apparently it's filled with a lot of never before seen footage. So fans of Biggie should definitely get a kick out of this as well.
And if you don't know, now you know.
Okay, now we're gonna move on with the rest of the month, and then when we finish with that, I'm gonna show you everything leaving, but I'm also gonna take time to talk about my absolute top 10 picks out of everything that will be leaving in the month of March. Now on the 3rd, they add a movie called Moxie. This is actually directed by Amy Poehler, and it's definitely directed at a teen audience. This is about a young girl who starts releasing this magazine in her high school. It definitely seems like it's geared specifically towards a teen audience, but fans of Amy Poehler that have teenagers may enjoy watching this with them. On the 3rd, they also add a new crime series, and honestly, I think Netflix has been doing a really great job. They release a new crime series almost every single month, and this month, it is Murder Among the Mormons. This is sort of an epic crime story that gets wrapped up with the Mormon church and them trying to sort of cover some things up, and there's some murders involved, and it sounds like really wild stuff, so I'll be checking that out when it releases. And then on the 3rd, they also add Parker, which is sort of a mediocre Jason Statham movie. It's a good watch for people who are big fans of his work, but if you just like some of his more top shelf picks, this is probably not going to be one of them. Now on March 10th, they add a foreign language series about a documentarian following a criminal. Now I've seen movies that are done in this way, some of them quite good. This series looks very interesting because it looks incredibly intense. As you can see from what I'm showing you, it looks like it's filmed like a documentary, like true life stuff, and some wild things happen. Now while this is a work of fiction, the style in which it is shot looks like it could be pretty immersive, so I'll be checking it out to see if it's well worth watching, and if it is, I'll be letting you know here on the channel, or at the very least, I'll be letting my channel members know about it. Last Chance U Basketball is a Netflix documentary about junior college basketball and some players trying to make it. This is somewhat of a sequel to Last Chance U, which was a documentary from a few years ago. It's also on Netflix. It's about junior college football. If you're into college sports at all, this could be really interesting. Even though it is junior college, it seems to really focus on a lot of the struggles of these players trying to make it and potentially get a professional sports career. So it looks like there's a lot of drama wrapped up in it with that. And if that's not for you, you prefer to glug boxed wine and watch trashy reality shows, they're adding Marriage or Mortgage, which is exactly what it sounds like. If you've been a cord cutter and you miss your HGTV shows like Love It or List It, this is one where people either decide to spend money on a wedding or on a house. If you love Love It or List It, this is going to be right up your alley.
Something's wrong. Something with the island. You know it, I know it. I want to get to the bottom of it.
Now, Block Island Sound is an interesting project, but it's done by the same creators behind American Vandal, which was a Netflix original docu-series. It was a mock-you series that was really funny and really well done. However, this new movie is a horror sci-fi thriller, and so while I don't know much about it, I'm interested in the filmmakers and interested that they're doing something so different from their last project. I'll definitely be checking it out, and if I do recommend it, you can be sure it'll make it into one of my top 10 lists sometime in the near future. On March 12th, they add Yes Day, which is a family movie starring Jennifer Garner where she decides to say yes to everything her kids ask of her for one day. Sounds suspiciously like the Jim Carrey movie Yes Man, and while I doubt it's going to be as good as Yes Man, I find Jennifer Garner to be a lot more appealing to look at than Jim Carrey, so at least there's that. March 14th, they add Audrey, which is a documentary about Audrey Hepburn. This is actually done by a documentarian who's done some other really good biography documentaries, so this is likely very, very well done for fans of Audrey Hepburn, or even just fans of movie or sort of that era of movie making. This is going to be right up your alley. On the 15th, they add the BFG, which is a Steven Spielberg family-friendly fantasy movie. While it is pretty good, and it does have some really great moments that are just pure Spielberg, overall, it sort of lacks the magic of some of his more spectacular, family-friendly sci-fi movies. But that said, if you didn't know that this was done by Spielberg, I think you'd be pleasantly surprised. However, for me, being a big fan of Spielberg, I found this one to be a little bit disappointing. Now, if you're close to my age, you recall long before the days of coming to YouTube to get recommendations from somebody like me, you used to get in your car, drive down to a building, spend 30 minutes or more in a brightly fluorescently lit room, staring at boxes of DVDs, trying to pick something out to watch at a little place called Blockbuster. The Last Blockbuster is a recently released documentary about the last Blockbuster. Should be a fun sort of nostalgic watch for anyone that has spent countless hours looking for movies in a Blockbuster. If you haven't, I don't know that this one's gonna have too much for you other than just learning how people used to forage for movies. On March 16th, they add a flawed but unusually fun flick from Oliver Stone called Savages. This stars Blake Lively, Salma Hayek, and it's about Mexican drug cartels and can be very brutal at times, but it's also got this sort of fun element to it, even if it is a little bit dark and heavy. Salma Hayek, it's one of my favorite performances of her. She is a bad in this movie, and she really kills it. She actually makes this movie work. There's also some really great supporting roles, as well as the two lead roles, the two main guys in this, one of them being Aaron Taylor Johnson, got his name right this time, is pretty fun. Overall, I think the movie does suffer from quite a few flaws, so I do enjoy it. I've watched it more than once, and I do recommend it with the caveat that you are gonna have to overlook a few things. On March 17th, they add Varsity Blues, the college admissions scandal. It tells the recent story of some elites who were cheating and gaming the system to get their kids into Ivy League schools. However, be warned, when Netflix does documentaries or documentary series on more recent topics like this one, they tend to round the corners off and guess in fear of sort of like offending industry people or anything. So I'm not sure that this is going to involve Felicity Huffman or Aunt Becky's involvement in the college scandal, because again, Netflix, they tend to sort of handle things like this with kid gloves, making them not really worth watching. We'll see with this one. Skylines is one I might actually be skipping this month. It's the third installment in the Skylines series, and while I have liked the other two movies, even though they're essentially B movies, I've liked sort of how far those creators have gone with it and how much they have done with very little money. However, from what I'm seeing on this third installment, it looks like the steam may have run out of the Skyline series. Sky Rojo is a new Spanish language series from the same creators as the hit series Money Heist. That was a major series that did really well. It was very interesting, and with this new series, it looks like it's kind of a female-led, sort of sexy caper type thing, so who knows, we may have another major hit on our hands with this one. At the very least, it looks pretty slick. Even though the synopsis sounds really dry, Philomena is a really beautiful movie from 2013 starring Judi Dench and Steve Coogan, and in this movie, he plays a journalist who is helping her find her lost child, long lost. But it's just really well done. It's a different character than you normally see Steve Coogan play. He's normally really funny, and in this, he's not at all, but he plays it really well. Judi Dench is obviously really great in it, and the story's really fleshed out. Again, as dry as the synopsis sounds, this is a really, really engaging movie, and I highly recommend it. And they add quite a bit on the 26th. One is called A Week Away. This is a high school musical, which I didn't really know is still a thing. I didn't know that was still a fad going on. If it is, and you're still into it, this actually looks like it's shot really well and could be right up your alley. However, I'm not sure this is going to appeal to most people watching this video.
Can you just hit that on switch on the vacuum for me? Thanks, man. Oh my God, turn it off! Oh, I'm gonna get fired again!
Bad Trip is an Eric Andre stunt movie, sort of in the vein of Jackass. This was actually scheduled to be a theatrical release, and hell, it may have even come out in some theaters, but nobody would have seen it. Now it's a Netflix original, it'll be getting added. I can tell you now, if you're not familiar with Eric Andre, his comedy style is intense. There's likely to be extremely crude humor in this and maybe some shocking imagery as well. So if that does not sound like you might want to steer far clear of it. If you're getting excited about the way I'm describing it, definitely check it out when it drops. And then they add The Irregulars, which is sort of a teen Victorian era series in which Watson and Holmes play villains. I'm not sure how I feel about that, but it does look like it's produced pretty well and should at least be interesting to some people watching. And then on the 31st, they add At Eternity's Gate, a movie in which Willem Dafoe plays Van Gogh. Willem Dafoe fans should check this out. Van Gogh fans should check this out. It is pretty dry drama, but if it's your type of thing, it is a well done movie. Now, before moving on to everything leaving, I do want to tell you, if you're in a different country or maybe you're watching this video in the future and not all of these movies are available to you at the time of you watching, you can still access them using the right kind of VPN service. And today's sponsor, CyberGhost VPN, is such a VPN service. Not only do they keep your web browsing safe, secure, and private, it helps prevent identity theft and a whole slew of problems that you'll never even know you came close to if you're using a VPN service. But CyberGhost makes such a great pairing with Flick Connection because it allows you to unlock movies in other countries using your existing Netflix subscription. And they're able to do this because they have specialized servers tuned to Netflix in different countries, which means you can instantly, at the flip of a switch, unlock the Netflix library in Canada, the UK, Australia, Germany. And right now, my viewers can follow the link in the description, pay as low as $2.19, that's almost $2 a month, less than half the cost of a movie rental, to unlock entire new libraries. CyberGhost VPN is super easy to use and they have a great 45-day money-back guarantee, so there's virtually no risk. They have great 24/7 customer support to help you get it set up on multiple devices. Speaking of devices, you can use it on up to 7 at the same time, and it's all the different types of devices you use. So again, go to the link in the description, pay as low as $2.19 per month, depending on which plan you choose, and unlock more content than you will ever be able to watch, because it works with not only Netflix, it works with other streaming services like Prime Video and Hulu. It's a fantastic deal. I highly recommend it. But let's go ahead and move on with everything leaving in the month of March. Now in a moment, I will show you the full list of everything leaving and you can just pause the screen. That way you can make sure you watch things before the date I'm about to show you, because that's the date that they're gonna be gone. When you wake up that morning, these movies will be gone from the platform. Now these are gonna be in no particular order, but starting on the 1st, there's quite a bit leaving, which is why you wanna click that subscribe button below. If it's red, it means you're not subscribed to this channel, and you should be. You should also click the bell icon. That way you get notified when I put out new videos like this one, so you never run out of good movies to watch. But on the 1st, Basic Instinct will be leaving. I've talked about this movie on the channel recently. If you thought this was just sort of like a gross sort of sex movie from the 90s, you're mistaken. This is a really fantastic thriller. Yes, Sharon Stone shows her hoo-ha in it. It's famous for that. But in addition to that, it's just a really good, slick thriller with some graphic sex sequences in it. Haywire is a pretty decent action movie starring Gina Carano. Similar to Savages, it is highly flawed, but I like all the other elements of this movie, including Gina Carano. I think she's fantastic. I do not think she spoiled this movie the way some people do. It's just a little bit messy. There's too many characters going on, but because of that, you get some really great performances from Antonio Banderas, Michael Douglas, Ewan McGregor, Channing Tatum, and of course, Gina Carano, and some other really great character actors. A lot of cool stuff going on in this movie, even if it doesn't all work together perfectly. The Gift is one that has topped a recent list. This is a really great sort of Hitchcockian thriller. It's actually written and directed by actor Joel Edgerton, who also stars in it. I really loved what he did with this movie. I hope we see more from him. If you're a fan of Ozark and you like Jason Bateman and sort of darker roles, this is way darker than anything on Ozark, believe it or not. But it works. He's fantastic in it. The entire cast is. This is just a real gem of a movie. It's a shame it's about to leave. The entire Oceans trilogy is on Netflix right now, and it will be leaving on the 1st. Obviously, these are good movies. I don't need to go on about them. I'm a big fan of heist movies, and while these are among some of the cheesier ones that come out, They're cheesy because they don't forget to have fun. If it's been a while since you've watched them, you've got just a little bit of time at the time of me posting this to binge watch all 3. Gran Torino is one of the last great movies to star Clint Eastwood. I think he was fantastic in this. Even if everybody else was not, still just a really good, solid flick with a really great character from him. Longtime viewers know that Goodfellas is my favorite movie of all time. Sadly, it's leaving the platform this month. If you've never seen it and you're a fan of my recommendations, please do yourself a favor and watch Goodfellas before it leaves Netflix. And then for a complete change of pace, A Walk to Remember, which is a really sad sort of teen movie starring Mandy Moore. This was a hit movie back in early 2000s when it came out. It's very sad, but could be a good one to watch with your kids. She is suffering from cancer in this movie. It's not too intense with any of the visuals or anything like that, but it can be very heavy, but also very good for maybe some young adults to watch. So all of that's leaving on the 1st, and then on the 17th, they're removing Silver Linings Playbook, which I think is just a beautiful movie. In a similar vein to Crazy Stupid Love, a great movie if you don't love romantic comedies. Silver Linings Playbook has some great characters, a lot of heart, and is in no way cheesy. It does deal with some heavy elements, but it's just really well acted all around and has just a really great heart to it. It's just a really, really good, well done movie and makes for a great, great date night movie. So those are my top 10 picks of everything leaving, but here is everything else that's leaving in the month. I will remind you again, the date shown is not the last date you can watch it. It is the date that it will be gone, so be sure to watch it before. If they're going by too quick, just pause the screen and take note of any of the ones you've been meaning to watch but haven't got around to yet because they are going to be gone soon. Let's also thank the Patreon supporters. If you're interested in becoming a Patreon supporter, there is a link in the description below. There's also a link where you can become a channel member right here on YouTube. It's a great way to support the show and get access to exclusive videos, like the video I just did where I recommended 5 random movies. 3 of them are on Netflix right now, 2 of them are worth renting. But I put up new videos every week to make sure my channel members never ever run out of good movies to watch. But I will keep making videos like this one as long as you keep watching them. Thanks for watching my Everything New to Netflix in March episode, and you will see me on the next one.